Hey, hey, the world's on fire, so come and have a cup of tea with me. Hello, and welcome to QuaranTEA Break with Jen. I'm your host, Jen, and I wanted to start doing this video blog because I have worked in mental health for the past 2 years, and I think we're in the middle of a mental health crisis. I think that's fair to say. And I want to help people get through in some small way. It's also a way of informal information sharing between individuals in different cities and kind of get a pulse on what's going on all around the country. So if you would like to be interviewed, you can contact me. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, QuaranTEA Break with Jen, there's ways to contact me on there. Or you can email me, and I will put my email in the comments. So there's a bunch of ways to get a hold of me. So instead of talking about what tea I'm going to be drinking, because I'll be discussing that with my guest, I'm going to add a little time for recommendations, a recommendations corner, if you will. So my first recommendation is get yourself some flowers. I got these flowers, these tulips in honor of Easter, and they really do brighten your day. You can also plant some or go pick some in the wild, and that's free. And it's a really nice little reminder that nature is beautiful, and it really does cheer me up. I mean, how can you feel sad looking at those? They're just so pretty. My other recommendation for today is this face mask that just came for me in the mail yesterday evening. It's an awesome face mask. I've already worn it out and about on my walk, and it was made by Seems to be Sewn. So Seems to be Sewn is run by Susan Renner, and you can email her at seemstobesewn@gmail.com. These are awesome washable, dryable face masks, and my husband and I both got one, and she can make all different kinds of patterns. I'm sure if you got a hold of her, she could give you the fabric that you wanted. So those are my recommendations for today. And now I'm going to read you a poem because April's Poetry Month, and I'm going to read a Walt Whitman poem. It's To Think of Time. I'm just going to read an excerpt from it because we have to get to talking about our guest today, who I'm very excited about. So this is called To Think of Time, Walt Whitman. To think of time, of all that retrospection, to think of today and the ages continued henceforward. Have you guessed you yourself would not continue? Have you dreaded these earth beetles? Have you feared the future would be nothing to you? Is today nothing? Is the beginningless past nothing? If the future is nothing, they are just as surely nothing. To think that the sun rose in the east, that men and women were flexible, real, alive, that everything was alive. To think that you and I did not see, feel, think, nor bear our part. To think that we are now here and bear our part. All right, that's a little Walt Whitman. So let me talk about my guest today. Again, this whole thing is unedited because I want you to feel like you're just coming over and having tea with your friend Jen, and it's raw, and maybe you'll feel less alone or less lonely, and also learn a little something. So I'm going to be interviewing my very good friend Shawna Parsley. She's a mental health professional. I actually worked with Shawna at the recovery house in Portland that I worked at. It was treating folks with dual diagnoses, so co-occurring disorders of mental illness and addictions, and she was the clinical specialist there, so she did all the therapy sessions, and she's done mindfulness and taught a lot of different really great coping skills. That was her primary role where we worked in Portland, Oregon. So I'm going to give her a call and chat about mental health and some of her recommendations, and also just check in with her and see how folks in Portland, Oregon are doing, and hopefully she will be able to tell us a little bit more about what's going on there. So let's give Shawna a little FaceTime call. And I'll also talk about what tea I am drinking to Shawna. Hi!
Hello! Hey, Peter!
How are you? I have you facing the camera so the viewers can see you, but you won't be able to see me. Just my messy background with baby toys strewn all over the place.
That's perfect.
Yep, it's real life.
Yeah, it is. Oh, look at your place.
Yeah, this is our bedroom. I'm up in my bedroom.
Oh my god, it's huge.
It's a spacious, this room is spacious. The whole apartment is not all that spacious, but this room is, yeah, it's got good light, as they say.
Yes.
So what are you drinking today? Tell us first what you're drinking.
Well, I am drinking the Cold Kicker tea from Townsend's, which rebranded itself as Brew Doctor. I think to gain more like consumers post mass distributing their kombucha is working. Because the kombucha was always Brew Doctor, but the rest of the loose leaf, the tea like house was Townsend's.
Right.
But now it's all just Brew Doctor.
Okay, gotcha. And that's a good flavor. You like it?
It's very herbally. I do like it. It's got a kick to it. Like it's got a lot of like nasal, like throat clearing, supposedly things in it. It's effective for me. As a chronic allergy sufferer, I constantly feel like my sinuses are swollen. And so it's nice.
Yeah, it's a hard time for us people with allergies to be sneezing and coughing out in public.
Right?
Yeah, I have very bad allergies, and I've gotten a lot of looks, but I wear a mask out now, and so, it looks like I'm taking precautions, which I am. But I am going to tell you about what I'm drinking, because I was
about to ask, what are you drinking?
I tried matcha tea today, Trader Joe's matcha tea, which I've actually never tried. It's really good. You can drink it hot or cold. I've never tried it. I think it's got a little bit of like bubbly kind of stuff going on in there. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting flavor. And it was kind of a hot day today, so I decided to go cold. I'll hold up the package so you can see.
Ooh,
yeah, matcha green tea. It's a powder, so you empty the powder into it.
Right.
Yeah, it's good though. I like it a lot. It's different. Nice change of pace.
I've never purchased it, but there was this really lovely tea shop or like tea parlor and apothecary that I used to go to in Atlanta all the time that has since closed down because it was like locally and privately owned, and then they had to end up moving up. Anyway, I tried matcha there. I also drank it iced because this place was kind of like my retreat, and I got a little like obsessed. But it is very good. It's like you get more, I guess, of like that smoky like green tea flavor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It feels a little more earthy or something.
It's earthy, yes. That's what I would say.
It's really good.
That's a good way to describe it.
Well, Shawna, I told the viewers already a little bit about your background, that you're in mental health, and this part of the reason that I'm doing this is to talk about mental health and share tips and contribute whatever we can. So, first of all, how are you doing with all this quarantine business? And are you guys on lockdown in Portland right now?
We're on lockdown.
Okay.
We're a week behind you all, I think. So if I'm correct, you guys are on week 5.
Yep.
Right? And we're on week 4. Okay. We're starting week 4 of lockdown. The honest answer is I don't know how I am. Being like an introverted person, the first 2 weeks were actually really nice, which I realize is a very privileged thing to say. But that's how I felt. It was really nice. And then last week, things started kind of kicking in. I think the reality was setting in and kind of missing going out and actually seeing people and doing things. And I finally broke down and went for a walk, which I was avoiding for a while, even though we're allowed to. Mm-hmm. And it was a very emotionally complex, going out for walks is very emotionally complex. It's been good. It's made me sad to see like businesses closed. And like when this time of year hits and the weather turns around in Portland, there's this like really, really strong like energy and buzz, and like
Yes.
everyone, and it's been really sad not to see that. And I've kind of been grieving, that a little bit, as I'm sure people everywhere are. But it also made me really happy because no one has really been out. Like, all things considered, with the weather being beautiful, regardless of what time I've gone on a walk, there's been people out for sure, but not the amount that you would expect.
So people are really hunkered down, pretty much.
Yeah, people are hunkered down. So that made me feel proud and, like, good, and it was a really complex thing. Like, I'm so happy people are following this, but I'm so sad we have to do it.
Yeah.
People can echo that sentiment everywhere. How about you?
Oh, California. I mean, people are definitely taking the distancing very seriously here, but it is very crowded on a lot of hiking trails. And even though people try to give each other space, just the sheer amount of people that live here, it's just really difficult to do. And so, now people are wearing face masks. They are going the extra mile to avoid each other, which is also, it's a good thing, but it's depressing. I don't know. It has the effect of making me sad to like go out of my way to avoid people.
Right.
But yeah, it's difficult here, and you're conflicted every time you go for a hike. I definitely walk a lot just by virtue of having a baby and needing to get out of the house. But yeah, it's a strange experience, for everybody, I think.
It's very strange.
Yeah. So are you working, not working?
I am not working. Before all of this hit, I was actually planning a sabbatical, which was supposed to start now. So I had put my notice in at my former job and gave 45 days notice. So my last day was supposed to be April 3rd. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. The weather will be, turning around. Like, it'll be the perfect time to be able to, like, get outside all day and, what have you. And then all of this hit. So I've kind of been just sitting on sabbatical money. It's still, like, it's obviously not what I had planned, but I'd rather be home and know that I'm, like, safe and not exposed to things than be out. So now I'm in a position where I do need to start looking. So I'm searching for remote work, which is proving to be very difficult. And so I'm thinking at some point I'm going to have to like venture out into the world because money is the thing that we need. So
yeah, I know one other person who's job hunting right now, and depending on what field you're in, it's like there's either a lot of jobs or it's really difficult to find a job. So I feel for that position, and I'm also happy that you're not having to go into people's homes, because that would be really tricky right now. Just being
it was pretty. I was doing that up until the first week of our lockdown was my first week not working. And it was really uncomfortable just because you can ask people to take, measures and like these, like sanitize their house and do all of that, but it doesn't mean that they're going to do it,
Right,
so.
Exactly. And we hear a lot about people on the front lines like nurses and doctors, but what I haven't heard all that much about is the social workers. And social workers really are putting their lives on the line to help people, and that I think needs to be talked about and acknowledged, that a lot of social workers cannot just stop working, and also it's a high risk job right now. Like the place that we worked at, we would have been going in physically. We would not have been able to shelter in place to take care of people's mental health. So, more power to all those social workers out there. And
Definitely.
I hope people are taking precautions to protect anyone coming into their home, for sure.
Yeah, I hope so too, because it really, it is it's an essential service, especially, where we worked, because it's a 24-hour, facility, working with kids and kind of, doing in-home therapy kind of stuff. People can ultimately make the call to like not have anyone come in. And that was starting to happen a little bit more as I was leaving. But if that doesn't happen and they do want to continue the service, then you have to continue, to go. And when you're working, directly with people, like in an intimate kind of setting, yeah, it's really, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh,
just
for
to be
sure.
like blunt about it.
Yeah.
So the fact that people are still like, like you said, going out and doing it, every day, going to work every day, and like kind of just putting themselves on the line is pretty remarkable.
It really is. Yeah. God bless them. So, Shawna, do you have any mental health tips to share? Anything you found personally helpful?
What I'm doing a lot right now is kind of riding the waves as they come. So like I've been having good days and bad days, and the first thing I've been doing is just kind of riding those waves. And when I have there have been times where I have just kind of broken down and cried, and so I have allowed myself to be like, you know what, we're gonna cry, and like we're gonna be sad, and we're gonna do that for 10 minutes, and then like it's time to keep going. Also just kind of working on the acceptance of things. One of the things that I see a lot on social media that is just a really big pet peeve of mine is like people talking about, if you practice gratitude every day, every time you're sad, that'll make things better. You're in control of your emotions and you just have to be positive and like stay positive and be positive. But that's actually really unhealthy. Like, I think it's really important that we do like acknowledge that, hey, like I don't feel like myself today, or I'm really upset today. Today is really hard. I'm grieving because, I mean, realistically, nobody, like, this is unheard of for us before, for this generation. And like, there's no right way or wrong way to like go about things, I think.
Just getting through and surviving right now for a lot of people. That's good advice. Like acknowledging what you're feeling, dealing with it, and, taking the time to have a bad day if you can, just, letting yourself feel those emotions and deal with them. Because if you suppress things also, like, they're going to come out sideways somehow.
Right. Yep. Then you just end up exploding in other ways. And like the reality of the situation is that we don't know how long we're going to have to do this. So if, suppression is your go-to, you don't know how long you're going to have to suppress, A, and B, what those emotions are going to end up coming out looking like, especially in a quarantine situation where maybe you're living alone, or if you're living with other people, how that might impact other areas of your life. I think it's okay I think we need to acknowledge those emotions and like give yourself time to feel those, and then, set a timer. Like, I'm giving myself 20 minutes to really grieve and, be unproductive. And then I'm getting back on whatever it is that's next on, my schedule.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And just surrendering some control too, and like really just accepting that this is what we're dealing with right now, and it sucks. But it, there's nothing we can do to change it other than the only control we have is just to stay at home. Yeah. And so.
Yeah. It's, I think you were the one who first introduced me to Brené Brown, but, we just love her so much. She's like I feel like she's my Texas auntie everything's gonna be okay. But she has a lot of good tools for addressing the state of things right now and how to calm yourself down and find a new normal. And she calls it kind of settling the ball. But if you want to take a listen to her podcast, that's a great idea. Another recommendation I'll throw out for folks right now. And thank you for introducing me to her. And thank you for all your recommendations, Miss Shawna. And one last question. Shawna and I are both rabid musical theater people. What are you listening to right now? What are the cool jams? What are you listening to?
What's that gossip? I'm listening to a lot of divas right now. And I'm still pata prepping. So I'm also listening to a lot of there's a Candor and Ebb show that I'm listening to, just off and on musicals, but mostly right now. Today I've been listening to a lot of Mariah.
All right, classic.
And Britney, and, you know, just divas.
Diva energy, woo!
That's right.
Well,
that's right.
I hope you kill it at Pata's, and I feel like you've already given us tons of good advice, but any last words of encouragement or anything that you found encouraging this week that you want to share before I let you go?
Really, I mean, I know it's cliche, but I guess I want to echo the sentiment of what everyone else is saying of just, like, hang in there. Know that you are doing something by staying home, and it's okay to come home and not be productive. Like, we don't have to use this time to get better at something, because this is a very confusing time. And so really just give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace.
Amen, sister. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
doing this, my little show, and I miss you very
Thank
much.
you for having me.
And
I
let's
miss you
catch
so
up
much.
soon and give Jason my love. And
Will do.
Peter says
See
goodbye.
Peter. Hi and bye.
Hi and bye. Mwah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was Miss Shawna Parsley giving us a lot of good advice. And stay tuned. I have a lot of guests coming up from all over the country, so you hopefully will get to chat with people who are experiencing a lot of similar things and a lot of different things, because depending on where you are, I think there's still some disparity going on. So thank you for tuning in today on QuaranTEA Break with Jen. I hope it was helpful. I haven't really been sipping on my matcha tea, but I do like it. The verdict is that I do like this matcha tea powder. It's good stuff. So that's the tea. I did it, Peter. My husband's over there. He told me to say that. All right, I will see you next time.